all that gold that's on asteroids, remember that one? And all that gold that's sitting on the bottom of the ocean. Do you need to be concerned about this massive gold discovery announced by the country of Uganda? A lot of gold and silver investors are real nervous about this. I'm getting many questions and comments from my subscribers. I dug into the available information that we have about this supposed discovery, and I'm going to give you, number one, what I learned, and number two, my opinion as to whether or not you and I, as investors in the gold, silver, and precious metals mining sector, need to be concerned. Before I do that, don't forget there was a wise man named Mark Twain who once said the definition of a gold mine is a hole in the ground with a liar standing at the top of it. Keep that in mind as context as we talk about what Uganda claims to have found within their country. Let's dig in right now. Your time is valuable. Thank you for joining me today in Ron's Basement. You're always welcome here. If you could subscribe, give my video a thumbs up, turn on the bell notifications, and you have my explicit permission to share this video anywhere you like. So a few weeks back, the country of Uganda shocks the precious metals world when they make this astounding announcement that they believe they have 320,000 metric tons of gold in the earth in their country. People were very surprised, and it created a lot of worry within the precious metals community, especially amongst the retail investors that hold physical gold and silver. And to put this into context, this 320,000 metric tons that Uganda claims to have, the entire history of the world, everything, there has only been 250,000 metric tons mined and discovered. So that's everything that's been pulled up out of the ground, plus what reasonably can be calculated as gold that's been discovered by big mining companies that's still in the ground. 250,000 metric tons. Uganda claims they have 320,000 metric tons. So you can understand, I can understand why people were a little freaked out, for lack of a better way to describe it, when they heard this information. Another way to put this into context is that every year the world's big mining companies take out about 3,000 metric tons of gold from the Earth's crust. That 320,000 metric tons that Uganda claims to have would be the equivalent to 100 years of current annual production. And one final point to keep this in context. The current market cap of all the gold in the world is about $11 trillion. The amount of gold that Uganda announced that they have in their country would be $13 trillion. So now that we've kind of put this announcement in context and understand why people were a little freaked out, a little concerned when they heard this, let's kind of poke some holes in this claim and see how valid and see how legitimate the claim is, and how and to what extent we should be concerned. The more I talked to experts about this claim, the more concerns that were brought up. First, you have to realize that Uganda is a country about the size of the state of Wyoming. Okay, now they made this claim, 320,000 metric tons of gold, but they didn't really provide any type of quantitative or material support as to how they came to that number. Now, we all know Africa is very rich with minerals, including gold. So we can't rule this out completely, but everybody I talked to said, yeah, that's great. They claim they have 320,000 metric tons of gold, but they're not showing us quantitatively how they came to that number. From what I understand and what I've been told, there weren't drill results. Typically when a mining company is going to put out a resource, they're required to go through massive amounts of very expensive drilling, and then that information is brought together and mathematically computed within some pretty strict rules that dictate how much gold the company can then claim they actually have in the ground. This Uganda claim is just kind of like, well, this is what we have, and kind of believe us or not. Another factor we have to consider is that even if the gold is in the ground, there is still a ton of work that goes into actually getting it out of the ground. A ton of work and a ton of obstacles. Anyone who's ever worked in the mining industry will probably tell you that discovery, that's about 10 or 15% of the total picture. Building the mine, successfully extracting the gold from the ore. There is an endless number of challenges faced by any mining company. So even if the gold is there, it's not like it's imminently going to be mined, okay? And I think it's important to remember, okay, this Uganda just said they have this gold, right? It's not like they made an announcement that said, hey guys, we've been secretly mining gold for the last 10 years in our country. We didn't tell any about it. It was top secret. And now we have 320,000 metric tons of gold. No, they're on the opposite end of that spectrum, just saying we've got it. I mean, hey, I could make that claim too. Hey, I have 330,000 metric tons of gold underneath my basement floor. Okay? That's an extreme example, but what I'm saying is there's a lot more work that has to go into this before any of this gold even possibly comes to the market, comes to fruition. And finally, I want to bring up the point that I don't like war, I don't like violence, but if history is any indicator, and that gold is actually in the ground, the people that are running Uganda better be very, very careful, because history is rife with examples where powerful countries take over small countries, often under different excuses than what the real reason is, to get the resources, whether it is oil, whether it is gold. Ask the Boers who live in South Africa what happened during the Boer War and how the discovery of a major gold resource can lead to some pretty nasty consequences. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. I just wanted to bring that point up. So the point you've all been waiting for, should you be worried about it? Am I worried about it? I'm not really worried about it. Will I keep my eye on it? Absolutely. And the media, especially within the precious metal sector, will make sure that I hear about the situation in Uganda as we move into the future. But I would almost put it in the same category as all that gold that's on asteroids, remember that one? And all that gold that's sitting on the bottom of the ocean, right? I'm not going to say there's not gold in asteroids. I'm not going to say there's not gold in the bottom of the ocean. And I'm not going to say there's not gold in Uganda. But realistically, when I look out 5, 10, 20 years, am I worried about any of those three? No. And I don't think you should be either. Thank you for joining me in Ron's Basement. You are always welcome here, and I'll see you next time.